Oops, forgot to do something. Press the button. There we go. Every now and then, you'd think by now I'd have all that settled up, but every now and then,
way.
Yeah, it's been one of those days, man. I think it's just clogging up the brain cells. Where nothing has gone right, and even get the open wrong. But in any case, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Players Edge podcast. You see the normal group of guys, and then of course we're joined by jockey agent, basically someone who's done it all at the track, Paula Bacon. Paula, how are you this evening?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for coming on. So right now you're a jockey's agent. You've been a jockey. You've been a trainer. Well, you went from a jockey, I think, to a jockey's agent, to a trainer, back to a jockey's agent.
Correct.
And then, so tell us a little bit about what your typical day is like as a jockey's agent.
My typical day as a jockey's agent is you get up, you go to the track. I've got a golf cart. I get on the golf cart. I wait for Pablo. If he's coming, I go grab him. He doesn't have to come every day. If not, I just start making my way around the barns and going to my regular clients pretty much and asking them for mounts.
And how do those conversations go? Is it like, hey, put him on the horse because you know he's going to win? Or is it you have to be a little bit more tactful than that?
I say that sometimes. But, I mean, at the beginning of a meet, you have to really pressure people. And it's a lot different at the beginning, before to get mounts, you have to go around to every barn, ask pretty much every trainer, and you can kind of get a feel from there who's actually going to support you. And, you kind of focus on those probably a little bit more towards the middle and the end of the meet, But, I mean, you have to really beg at the beginning sometimes, just to get, hey, put Pablo on. He's the best rider here. He's going to win, that kind of spiel. That comes out of my mouth a lot. I'm
sure it does, for sure. So what percentage of your time is like after you get started? Is there like a phone call part of it, or is 100% of it face-to-face?
Okay, so like at Tampa, there are so many jockeys, and there's a really depth in the jocks room. So there's a lot of good jockeys. And I mean, there's just the volume. I mean, there's over 100 licensed riders here. So your phone doesn't ring. And a lot of these jockeys here, they work really, really hard. They really pound the pavement here. A lot of hardworking jockeys here. So they all get their share of mounts. So your phone just doesn't, your phone doesn't ring. I got the guy that's second leading rider, and I maybe get 2 or 3 phone calls a morning, and at the other track that I work in the summer, Presque Isle, I literally, I'm on the phone probably for 3 hours straight, just nonstop. I mean, I'm ending a call, somebody else is beeping in, that, it's just a completely different, but as a jocks agent, you spend a lot of time on the phone. I mean, I text trainers more now than anything because that's what they really like. They don't really want to be aggravated with, having to answer the phone and talk to you, but they'll, Johnny on the spot answer a text usually.
You know who else spends a lot of time on the phone?
Who?
Sean.
I do a lot of time texting too. So yeah. Paula, how competitive and how jockey agent wise, I'm sure you guys are friendly, but how competitive does it get too? And can it get a little rivalry there, like trying to take mounts away?
Oh, for sure. And it's also an area, in different areas, jockey agents behave differently with each other. Like, the East Coast is a little more cutthroat. I hear those guys are, kind of going at each other and a little more behind the scenes doing stuff. My tracks, we're pretty much, we work together. Some of us work together at both the tracks I go to, and everybody gets along pretty good. And we're not stabbing each other too much, behind the scenes. We work together pretty well, actually, in my areas. But they can get very nasty and very messy in other areas.
Are you looking to add any more jockeys, or are you like where you're at right now?
Well, I only have Pablo right now because Ronnie Allen is hurt. So I mean, he's been my jockey for 10 years, since 2012. But I'm going to add Antonio Gallardo to Presque Isle for the summer.
Nice.
Good pickup.
Indeed. Yeah. Someone else who looks great in the 5 is Terry. He's all the way out in California. Terry, how are you this evening?
Good. Hi, Paula. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Hey, I had a couple of quick questions, if you don't mind me asking. Number one was, I read that when you became a jockey agent the first time, It was hard work, but you said you didn't care for it much. And now you're a jockey agent again. Has that changed for you, or?
Yeah, it's completely changed because the area that I was working in at the time was Mountaineer Park, and it was when they first got really enormous purses, but it just was a totally different atmosphere, and I didn't really, and it's a hard thing to go from jockey to jockey agent, because as a jockey you have somebody behind you, asking and begging these people for mounts for you, and then when you actually have to go and do it for somebody, it can be just a slightly demeaning at first. It's a shock. You're not used to it, but now it rolls right off my back, no problem.
Wow. And I had another quick question. I see in your bucket list you wanted to go to Australia and see the wildlife. Did you ever get to do that?
Not yet.
Oh, you ought to do it. I went. It was really, really good.
That is my number one thing that I want to do.
Well, if you get there, go to New Zealand too, because it's pretty nice.
I've heard that. Kelsey Danner went to New Zealand, and she told me it was amazing.
Yep. So, okay.
Tom and I, we do picks at Australia and New Zealand. We'll be doing picks tomorrow for Australia, but I don't know if have you been to Australia, Tom?
No,
not
yet.
All right.
I've been in a lot of places, but not there. Paula, how much handicapping of the trainers and looking at the condition book do you do?
That's a good question. People would think that, you would just handicap every race, when you're asking for a mount and just go after specific horses, but it doesn't always work like that. I'm a person that likes to ride for trainers over specific horses, and there's all different kinds of ways to jockey agent. That's my preferred way to do it. And then of course, if I get two of my regular good trainers that I just really love to ride for, then I either might have already given one of them a call, which I'll honor, even if the other horse is better, just, to keep the relationship intact. And that's just, kind of the classy thing to do. Or if I have to make a decision and I have to handicap them, I usually use Thorough Manager. I love daily racing form. I love buyer numbers the best, honestly. But Thorough Manager is what, you have to use on a daily basis, and it works well too. And so I'll make a decision off of Thorough Manager. A lot of things go into it, but I will have to handicap it and make the decision.
And how far out do you look at the races? 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Sometimes 3 to 4 weeks. It just depends. Also, when you're working a track, you get to know the style, and you kind of know who you just know who you want to ride. Like, these same races keep coming up over and over, and it's kind of sometimes by attrition. So, if somebody just runs second in the A other than, and you don't think there's going to be many ship-ins or something, you obviously you go and try to ride that horse.
What because Presque Isle, you've got all weather, and Tampa, of course, it's the weird dirt turf. How do you differentiate with your jockeys in terms of that mixture? Because there's a lot of variation between those three surfaces.
Well, right
and
now,
the two tracks you're looking at.
With Pablo, mostly his percentage is so high on the grass, on the turf course, that a lot of trainers look to him, in that area. But he's actually a really, really, really solid, good dirt rider. He's so, he just gets so lucky, and he just rides the turf so well. He really does. And so a lot of our mounts come from the turf, but the Tampa's a weird place for the dirt, because it's actually just beach sand with really no bottom. And it also only has 3/16 of a mile stretch. So a guy like Pablo, who likes to be patient, has to be in more of a hurry when he turns, like in the middle of the turn and on the dirt at Tampa. So, and he's aware of that, and he does that well. But he just, it's two totally sets of different horses usually. There's lots of trainers here that really only run on the turf. So you just, I want to ride more on the dirt, to be honest, and I go after horses like that. And the racing office wants to fill more dirt races if they can, because it's hard to not abuse the turf.
So Jamie Martinez probably has an easy question for you. Who's your favorite jockey?
No, she's asking that.
I don't have one.
That's a good answer. I like that answer.
For sure. It's one of those tough questions for sure. But I'd say Pablo's got to be high up on that list for sure, no matter what that list is made of, right?
Yes, her fiance Willie's high up there too.
So that was a loaded question, huh?
Leave it
Oh,
to
yeah.
Jockey.
Absolutely, 100% for sure.
Mhm.
So, as far as you were a jockey as well when you first got started. Tell us a little bit about your days when you were a jockey. How was the relationship? How did you being a jockey and having a jockey's agent yourself? How did that shape how you felt you were going to treat the people you worked with?
Well, being a jockey, the last couple years that I was a jockey, I actually hustled my own book. So I
Mm.
did both jobs at that point, and that was a real learning experience, for me to juggle things, and it is a tightrope you walk, and so that was helpful to do both of the things at once, for the future, obviously, but you have to treat people with respect, even when they get mad at you and yell at you because maybe you had to take off their horse. None of us like to do that. We don't like to take off horses we committed to. We don't like to turn people around. But in order to be productive and ride the best horse, sometimes you have to, because things do come into play at the last minute. And it's just, you really have to talk to people softly and explain, you really, really have to be nice about it. And if they yell at you and they get mad at you, you just have to take it.
Yeah. Sean, are you ready for people to yell at you?
Well, I was going to ask. Now, when it comes down to two horses, does your jockey get a say in that, or do they just leave that up to you if it comes down to two horses?
Oh no, the jockey. If I ask Pablo a lot of times, or whatever, whoever I'm working for, especially if they've been on him in the morning or if they've already ridden him in a race. I definitely want their input for sure. It's very helpful.
And I'm okay being yelled at, Rich. It's not the first time in my life.
I'm
It
sure.
won't be the last either.
No.
I get yelled at all the time. Most of the time, I've been yelled at since I was like this big, all the way up. So everything was always my fault, and somehow that never changed. Anyway, all right. So everybody ready to do some? We decided today with Paula to put the handicapping skills to the test for the late pick 4 on Saturday at Tampa Bay Downs. The first race. If everybody's ready, everybody ready to go?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So the first race is 7 furlongs. It's a claiming 8,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime at 7 furlongs on the main track. So when you look at this race, Paula, how do you want to start your pick 4 and why?
Some of these races were pretty tough for me to handicap as a whole because it's not the greatest card.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But and to be honest, it's been, the horse flesh is really low, the quality right now, because obviously the breeding has gotten less and less, so there's a smaller pool to draw from. So this is like these last couple years, some of these races like this race is not easy to handicap, but I came down to the 3 and the 8 somehow.
To the 3 and the 8. Okay, so let's put Paula in here for the 3 and the 8. And was it the buyer numbers that had you with the 3 and the 8, or?
I think, because I think it was just because there was a couple speed horses that might kill each other. Then there wasn't really a closer that I thought was just gonna. Yeah, I mean it's not a race setup thing. I think it was just the 3 has been consistently knocking at the door, for its last 6 starts, just always right there, and I thought that was a good thing, and I thought that looked a little better than some of these other horses. And the 8 horse, same thing, kind of looks like it's rounding into form.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm crazy about the favorite just because she didn't finish last time, and sometimes it takes them a race or two, clipped heels, 5/8 lost rider. It can take a race to get themselves back together after that sometimes, and that's the only reason I didn't use her.
All right, and that favorite is number 2, Sparkling Plenty.
Yep.
All right, and then Terry, let's go ahead and get your picks and what you like and why you like them.
All right. I like my top pick, number 3, Julie's Grace. She's finished in the money 6 out of the last 7 races, and she won 2 of those. She can lead or come from off the pace, which is an angle I really like. And if she can keep from ducking in or out like she's done in the last past, she'll do well in this race. And then I like number 2, Sparkling Plenty. She won a race, 2 races back at Tampa Bay Downs, and then had trouble in the next race, losing the jockey after some trouble in that race. Sparkling Penny is 1-for-1 at today's distance and has a high percentage winning jockey, Sammy Camacho, who returns to rider again.
That's number 2, right?
Yeah, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 5 is my third pick. First Gold has early speed, but seems to be able to close if needed. And she has a good workout on March 9th, 49.3 breezy. And those are the 3 horses I would use in a pick 4. I do have a alternate horse if there's
no
a
alternates. We don't go
Oh,
that route, Terry.
Okay.
We don't get any favors here, Terry.
No, all right.
No. All right, Thomas, your turn.
My turn. Number 6. Doshama, I guess. I don't know. Won a maiden at Tampa in a dead heat, and it also placed in the maiden. I tossed the turf race at Tampa because it was a lousy race.
Mm-hmm.
One at the distance. It appears it's dropping in class after 2 efforts at Gulfstream. Likes to move. Been moving on the inside, which I'm not quite sure why, but then it comes up empty.
I need to say it. I need to say that was my alternate. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, that's my single. That's my single. 6 is my single.
Oh, you're going with a single.
Yeah. 2 plenty. Sparkling Plenty. Yeah. Forget the last because obviously you clip heels. It got DQ'd, moved up in the DQ, but because of the nonsense that happened, and Sammy got pitched. Well, that happens. It's a winner at the distance, and it likes to lay close to the pace. I always like that. But I don't understand why they tried this horse on the turf so many times until moving it to the dirt. And when they move to the dirt, it turns into a different horse.
So 6 horses the only play for you here then, Tom?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Well, I mean, I put Julie's Grace in there, but she isn't going to win. She can't figure it out yet.
So you put 2 horses in there?
Well, no, I put 6.
Just a 6.
Single. Yeah.
All right, you're confusing me. All right, easy
I'm
to
doing
do.
that intentionally.
I know you do. I know you all
hard at it.
You all play that on me because you know I get confused. Sean, I forgot to even put you on here. But go ahead. I just put it in while we were working, and that's why Tom really confused me because I was kind of half listening to him, trying to half put the
No, you're not
at the
listening
same
to me.
time.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, no, I don't listen to you. All right, Sean, your shot.
Okay, so I'm going to go the 4 Ma Coco 8-1 morning line here as my top choice. I'm going to go 3 deep. This horse just broke its maiden on its 10th try. But if you look at some of the changes, first race is the last race, which was the last race that she won, was the furthest distance she went, going 6.5 furlongs. Now she gets another half furlong race. Also, the jockey was the best jockey that she's had on her, Maggie Rowland here at The Apprentice, and she's also going to be less weight. And there should be some pace in here, but it's cheap speed, so this should be good for her. And then I did go Sparkling Plenty because I actually find that sometimes these horses that something goes wrong and they don't really put a lot of effort in the last race, they do come back and win. So
that's number 2, right?
Number 2, Sparkling Plenty. So her last real race, she won. So another one that hopefully starting to figure it out. And then just because of the quality of the field, I threw in somebody that will be there. But probably, like Tom said, it's not going to win. Number 3, Julie's Grace. Had to throw her in because she's going to be around there. It has some speed. It's been competitive at the distance in the track.
All right. And
so
then from
2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4. I got 4, 2, 3. That's the order you gave it to me. So forgive me for. So
that's the right order.
The right, well,
that way.
It's the right order. All right, race number 7 for me. Looking at this, 50 races at this. 86 races. 50 of them won by speed. 21 going wire to wire. You got a small rail bias. I don't see a whole lot of early speed in here, so I'm going to start off with the number 3 horse as well, Julie's Grace. You don't think it's going to win? I think it's got a shot to win. It showed some early improvement in the late pace numbers and the early pace numbers, and I think she'll be forwardly placed. Sparkling Plenty, I know that had the that issue last time out, but did try 7 furlongs one time and won that race fairly easily. Took 10 tries to get the maiden, and then I'm with you, Sean. Number 4, Makoko, top last race speed figure in the maiden win, which is usually the only way I like that. Madeline Rowland is the jockey last time out when the horse won, gets back on it again. The little bit of a weight break. We're going to go now to race number 8. which is 1 mile on the turf. So you said turf run's a little bit different here than, and they don't really want to run up the turf course so much, Paula, but how do you win on the turf course at Tampa?
It depends. The last couple weeks, the turf's been pretty speedy and you had to be forwardly placed, but a lot of times you just sit. The main thing is to sit and wait and be very, very patient. And, they all come in a clump at the quarter pole, and then whoever gets through seems to, get.
So it's one of those races where being in the right position and a jockey race, as they say.
Yeah. I mean, I think staying on the inside and being patient and waiting wins more turf races than anything.
So who do you think is going to be the most patient, and who makes it into your pick 4?
I like the horse that Pablo's on. My biggest worry about him is that he's going to bounce because if I'm not mistaken, he got a career high buyer his last out, and it was a big jump. So I used the 3, the 5, and the 9, and I think I like the 9 the best. No. I'm sorry. Yeah, I do like the 9 the best.
So
I like Gulfstream to Tampa horses. That was my angle there. He's been running at Gulfstream, and he gets to come to Tampa. From Gulfstream to Tampa, it's usually like a good thing.
Is there like from when you're looking at horses that are coming in from like a Gulfstream to Tampa, is there like just like a rule of thumb buyer ad that you would put on that horse?
Yeah, I would add a couple points at least a couple, and that's being conservative to his race at Tampa. Moving forward. Mm-hmm. Gulfstream horses are, they're better than our horses in these kind of races. I mean, he ran in a 20 non-3, which is about the same thing as a 25 non-3 at Tampa, and it's just tough for horse flesh to me down there.
Now, is that something that you have kind of stored up here, or do you actually kind of make notes of those sorts of things?
No, I just know that. I mean, just know.
From experience?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Terry, your turn once again.
Yeah. Well, I like the number 9 too. Sees the Hay. And of course, Hay's my last name. Comes in from Gulfstream Park and finished second there in the last race. Was only beaten a neck on the dirt and returns to the turf for today's contest. I think he's a better turf horse than a dirt. And then switches to high percentage winning jockey and a trainer who wins 23% of the with a horse that he has claimed the first time he puts that horse in as an entry. He has the highest speed figure at today's distance. Then I like number 5, Call Bros, has finished second 2 races in a row. The last race was on the dirt and returns to turf, which I think he likes the turf better. And he received the highest last race speed rating and has a jockey who's won 5 races out of the last 11 starts. Then I like number 1, Shaldag. He ran 5th in the last race at 1 mile and 40 yards, and now shortens to 1 mile, which is the distance he won at. And he drops in class today. The jockey in the last 7 days has finished in the money 7 out of 15 times, winning 4 of those. And then I like number 10, Double Demon, another horse that tried and has tried Gulfstream without success, and now returns to Tampa Bay Downs, where he broke his maiden at today's race conditions. Drops in class today, and the connections adds Lasix for this context.
Sean?
Well, can we start betting on who's picking who? Because I was all in on Terry picking the 9, Sees the Hay. I went with number 5, Call Bros. Will be coming late. Has finished second in 3 of the last 4 races. Might be able to get there this time because there's a lot of early speed, and the speed's not going to hold up here, so there's going to be a lot coming from the back. The switch to jockey Hector Diaz could be really huge and put this horse in the winner's circle. Hector's been on fire and winning some big races. And this horse has finished in the money in 9 of 16 races on the turf. Sees the Hay is my second pick. This is a horse that needs a lot of pace and, again, doesn't get it. One great last race only to lose by a neck, and that was on the synthetic, and this horse prefers the turf. He's finishing the exact in 6 of 14 career races on turf, including 3 of 5 at the distance. And then I went with number 10, Double Demon. Least experienced horse in the field, but a field like this that doesn't seem all that great. That's probably a good thing. Has won 1 of 3 races, and that 1 win was on the turf. After breaking the maiden on turf, tried the turf again, but jumped way up in class and didn't belong. Now comes back after a 10-month layoff, and that's the question, but does get Lasix for the first time, and the workouts are just okay. and this horse should be flying late as well. So I got 5, 9, 10.
5, 9, 10. Tom, you going to single somebody else again?
Nope.
Oh.
9 Sees the Hay is my top choice. The one thing that people didn't talk about here was that it had issues at the start and still figured second by a neck. So I thought that was a pretty good effort. The race before at the 35 level, yeah, on the turf, forget it. That's not a race. It's 14 of 17 of its starts are on the turf. It's got 2 wins in 4 seconds. This is one of those cloud horses. Sammy's going to have it way back, but there's plenty up front, as Sean said, and I think it's got plenty to run at. And one of the horses going to run at is number 1, Shangdag. Getting a little class relief here coming out of some Tampa allowance races. They're putting it back down where it was kind of when it was at Monmouth, running against maiden claimers, and had some nice runs there. It's definitely going to be out front. I don't know if it's going to be the speed, but it's going to be close to it. But I think it can hang around for a share based on that class relief. 3, Yes Sir Robert, 2/4 at the distance in last 2 races. They're overall they're okay races. I mean, when you watch them, it just didn't have enough. It's the best way to describe it. So it sits close to the early pace. I think it needs to do that. Its speed numbers are actually very good and right in there with this field and based on the group in this race. And I think getting a piece, it could, definitely. Could it win? Maybe.
That's it. 3.
Yep. That's enough.
Yeah, it's enough probably. So Sean, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of speed in this race or not, because you have 3 horses that are speed, then you got some that like to press and then close. So they may or may not be a part of that early pace. Tough to tell. Looking at, I have number 1, Shaldag, as the top pick. I think it's going to be the pace setter in a race that might lack actually early pace. So I have a little bit different view of how the early price is going to take out. Double Demon is my second choice. This one didn't turn red. Yes, it did indeed. Double Demon is on the other end of that spectrum. It's the horse that should be coming the hardest at the end, gets the first dose of Lasix and a drop in class. A lot of reasons to improve there. Number 5, Call Bros, third off the bench after he tied for the top last race speed figure, which was the 3rd consecutive increase in a row. It's a horse that can be, it's a Terry horse because it can run in the front, the middle, or the back. And then I'm going to go the deepest here. I'm going to go with, like Terry, 4 deep. I'm going to go with the 7, a little bit of a price in here. That is Montauk Summer. It's the other to tie for the top race speed figure, dropping in class. You know, I like that angle. Horses that run the top last race speed figure, then drop in class, and did so after pumping up its 4 furlong and late pace numbers in its last race. And I don't know about you, but when I'm looking at horses, Paula, when I see a horse that seems to improve late in a race, a lot of times for me, that's an indication that the horse is improved, like in the middle of the race and figured it out, and the next time out runs pretty well. Have you noticed a similar pattern, or is that just wishful thinking on my part for the 7?
No, I think that's a legitimate factor. Yeah, I mean, you see him improving, getting closer, like you said, during the middle of the race and then finishing up better. I think that's the start of something good usually.
So let's see if we can start something good in race number 9. This one is claiming 8,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime, purse of $16,000, 1 mile and 40 yards. So at 1 mile and 40 yards, I don't understand why sometimes they do 1 mile and 40 yards, 1 mile, 70 yards, and then they also have a 1 mile distance. Any reason why they do that you know of, and not just run them all at 1 mile?
Well, 1 mile is kind of a tough race because it starts closer to the turn. So I know they try to veer away from that as much as they can, but obviously it's a very popular distance. Between the 1 mile and 40 and the 1 mile and 70, you got me there. I don't know what the extra,
Yeah, I never could quite figure out. I mean, it must just be, like you said, the track configuration.
Yeah, I think it's just basically wherever the starting gate can be put at certain tracks. It's either 1 mile and 40 or 1 mile and 70.
Okay. So for race number 9, how are you going to do leg 3 of your pick 3, Paul?
I I like a horse a lot in this race for a lot of reasons. I'm going to use, I felt I needed to use 3 horses, but I really like the 8. The connections are so hot. Maddie Rowland and Juan Aragata. Juan Aragata is a very, 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 very good trainer. And this horse is dropping down considerably to a level that obviously he's never seen before. And to me, it's the lone speed in the race. And I just think that with the 7 pounds off and, the connections are just so hot, I think it's just a really tough horse to beat in here.
So you're going to solo it?
No, I used 2 more with it because I just couldn't solo it. But I mean, if I were betting, I would bet on this horse, and I don't bet.
Okay. So who else would you add behind it then?
I added the 9. Or no, wait, I'm sorry. I added the 10, not the 9.
Mm-hmm.
The 10 and then the 5.
10-5. All right, Terry.
The 10 is another Gulfstream horse. You just can't leave them out. They're just tough.
So that's like a must add if they come in from Gulfstream, even if they're showing poor form over there?
I mean, he's just not if they show in really, really poor form, unless they're dropping down also. But this horse, 4th by 8 at Gulfstream for 12.5 non-2 is good enough for me to think he's dangerous.
And who do you think is dangerous, Terry? Hold on, Terry. Hold on one second. You're muted. Sorry.
Okay, you ready?
We're ready. Fire away.
All right. I like number 2, King Force. He's finished in the money in the last 3 races. He's won the last race at Tampa Bay Downs. He has a high percentage winning jockey and a good trainer who has won 2 out of his last 4 races, and a good 5 furlong workout, 47.3 breezing, second best of 27. Then I like that number 10, Hard 10, comes to Tampa Bay to try the competition here after running at Gulfstream. He has the highest last race speed rating and drops in class today. And then number 5, Stay In or Stay Strayin' In. Won the first race he tried on the dirt and then ran 4th, having a bit of trouble in that race. He is trying a 3rd race on the dirt, has a high percentage winning jockey and trainer. And in the last 7 days, the jockey's won 4 out of 15. And then I like number 4, Frankie Z, finished 3rd versus similar in his last race at Tampa Bay Downs.
And Sean?
Well, I kind of agree with Paula here. I like the 8. Look like the lone speed, connections, Maggie Rowland. Also, this horse comes back to the dirt after trying turf for the first time. There's a lot of things like the only reason I went deeper here is there's more potential. I think there's more potential horses that can win compared to the other races. So I also did go number 2, King Force. I feel like that could be the other speed if Here Comes the Hammer faults at all. If not, King Force is going to sit right behind him and could win it from there. Has been in really good form and has some speed. Likes Tampa's dirt, finishing in the trifecta in all 3 starts. And then jockey Daniel Centano's aboard again, who broke his maiden and is back. Number 3, Mo Mazda. First race after a claim and second race after an 8-month layoff. The trainer hits at 27% after the claim. He also hits at 22% going from sprint to route. Enough to like here. And then number 10, Hard 10. This was one I really didn't want to add, but coming from Gulfstream, the 5-2 morning line, some of the highest buyer numbers in the field. I just didn't want this horse to beat me, and I had the budget to do it, so I threw it in the 10.
The budget to do it. Tom, you haven't used much of your budget yet, so
Nope.
How many you got here?
I've got 3.
All right.
Number 5, Staying and Straying, is my top choice.
It's like a country song, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Terry mentioned, it's got a win in a 4th. The 4th, it had all kinds of trouble. It went too wide on the first turn, and I really think that's what it couldn't really get going after that. And that, like any other turn, if you blow that first turn, forget it. I think the move of moving this horse from the turf was the right direction to go in, and I think this level is right where it should be, and it's going to have a stalking trip. High percentage trainer, and I think he's got it correctly placed. 7, Given It and Go. Well, its last races, it didn't give it and go. Yeah, not much. Some early pace, but then nothing left. Moved to the a move turf race. It wins by 15 lengths. So why do I like it? Well, I like it because it's got to get out of the gate, a better post. 7, I think, is okay for it. I think it wants 2 turns. And definitely looking for a placing, but I could see this horse winning. 3, Mr. Manza. I think it needed a start. 7 furlong race, hasn't raced since July, showed some interest and then went backwards. He won a maiden claimer at Gulfstream. They shipped him up to Monmouth. And, well, he did okay, but not great. But look at the trainer's numbers. Positive ROI. The only thing negative there is a second start. But for a win. But in the money numbers are good, and that's what I think it can do. So I got to throw it in there.
And that's it?
Yep, that's enough.
All right. For me, I'm going with Staying or Straying as the top pick. It's, like I said, sounds like a country song to me, but always been well bet. It's one of those horses. A Terry horse that can press the lead or close in a race that I think should have a little bit of an above average pace, at least early on. Number 2, King Force. His win his last going wire to wire in the maiden and his 16th try. That's quite a few attempts to finally get that. But the race was also better than it looks on paper because the fractions were the same despite going a longer distance. So even though they're the same, they're faster because you go longer. Number 10, Hard 10, track drop from Gulfstream Park. We've talked about that. And the horse is coming off the bench. And if you look back at its most recent races coming out of the barn, it's got a second, and a third. So it's run well when it's had a little bit of time to rest. And then number 7, Give It a Go. It's a horse that needs to run back 3 when she wired the field by 15 last time out. She improved her 2 furlong, 4 furlong, and late pace numbers, usually a sign that the horse is trending in the right direction. And this race, for some reason, the last race of a pick 4, always seems to be the hardest to collect the winner. Let's see if we can all go home a winner. So how are you going to end your race? You have a lot of budget left too, Paula. I mean, you're going to do like Terry and go all?
No. You know what? No, I don't think we need to all in this race, but I really, really tried to get away from the 8. I want to beat him because he's going to, he's just going to be a heavy favorite. But, I mean, he's got a 289 Tomlinson number. Christophe Clement, how can you go wrong? He's got the leading rider, OBS $80,000 purchase. There's nothing you can't like about him except that he's a first-time starter. So Christophe Clement's very good with first-time starters, more so long than short. But I couldn't get away from him. So I used him. I used the 9, and I used the 4.
8, 9, and 4. How you doing, Louisa? Thank you for coming, for being new to the show. We appreciate that. Make sure you tell your friends about us. Sometimes I feel like I'm new to the show too. All right, Terry, your turn, my friend.
All right. I like number 9, Double Warrior, finished second in his debut race and then 4th in the second race and earned the highest last speed rating. He tries the turf, and I think his breeding suggests he'll like this grass. And then he has several good works in a row, which indicates he's fit and should run well. And I like the morning line favorite, number 8, Psychedelic Shack. And he is a first-time starter. The breeding suits the sprint distance. He has a good jockey, a good trainer, and 3 bullet workouts in a row for his debut. Then I like number 10, There Goes My Miracle. Has finished 3rd in his last 3 races in a row at Tampa Bay Downs, and he may finish better at a shorter distance. And then I like number 4, Saratoga Battle Cry. Ran 4th in his debut race, but had trouble in the stretch, being bumped, which really affected his finish. He may improve while trying the turf.
All right. Sean, how are you going to close your show?
I'm going to go number 8, Psychedelic Shack. Debuts for the high percentage trainer in Clement. Gets the high jockey. This is a soft field. Workouts are really good. Breeding suggests this horse should be quick. If he gets off to a good start, it's probably going to be over early. I did add in number 9, Double Warrior. 2 starts on the turf. Showed speed in one of them. Tried to show speed in the second one, not quite as much. Drops in class, tries the turf, shortens up a half furlong, and has one of the better gait and speed jockeys in Jose Furrier. So I just went 8-9. The other horse I would throw in if you wanted to go from $36 budget to 54. I'm sticking to the 36. Would be the 4 like Paula did. Another horse that showed speed.
So if you're not going to put him in there, why are you talking about him? Is that just the in case I should have at the end when he wins?
I'm just saying, if you want to take it to a $54 budget and cover yourself, throw in the 4. But if not, go with my $36 there.
All right, Tom, how about you?
No, I did take the 8 as my top choice. I like that last work. They put it on the Payson turf and gave it a nice work on there. The sire, to me, was more of a dirt horse. But when you look at the dam side, yeah, she was unraced, but boy, she has some back end there of a lot of turf. And definitely there. They've also allowed this horse to mature. They didn't put it out too quickly. It is a 4-year-old. Paid $80 for it. It's going to be overbet because it's owned by my racehorse.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no question they're going to overbet that horse. And the winner's circle will look crazy if that does win. Number 6, Edmund Fitzgerald, my next choice. I tossed its first race. It was wide. It was green. Yeah. The work's been useful. There's a gate work in there, a training track. My thing with training tracks has always been, I don't know how good the work is, because a lot of times you don't have much comparison. But I think it's good enough. And the reason why is the sire is good at producing turf horses. And the dam side is really good. She's a grade 3 winner at Saratoga on the turf, and she's produced one other winner on the turf. So there's definitely there. My concern is the percentage of the trainer, which is low. It is a 5-year-old, so I'm trying for a price on that one. Number 2, Commander's Biz is my final choice. Showed speed in the race and then had nothing left. So it ran 4th, but I think it's okay. Moves from a maiden claimer. Yeah, been flashing some speed. That's okay. I like that. It's definitely a race where you need speed. And I think it'll give better results. The trainers had a rough time with 50 starters and no wins, but when she moves race horses from maiden claimer to maiden special weight, she's running at a 42% in the money number. I like that.
So you went real cheap then, huh? $13.50.
Yeah, and sire has produced okay turf runners, and some have been really good. The dam has produced 1 turf winner, and she was a turf winner herself. So the other foal that she had was a dirt winner. So she's producing winners, and I always like to see that. And I think there's enough upside that this horse could hit the board. Win? Don't know.
All right, so 862. Tom's spending $13.50, right? 27 divided by 2. I hope I got that right. All right,
you're close.
I'm close enough. I wasn't expecting to have to do math at this.
Well,
when we started doing this,
we like to challenge you.
Number 7 for me, Run Smitty Run. This is my top choice here. Cutting back to a sprint from a route, I think will step forward in the second start off of a layoff. And the layoff was 8 months long, so I think that first one was just a tune-up. This is the one that'll be for real. Number 9, Double Warrior, had the top last race speed figure last time, improved his late pace number, and is another one that should step forward in the second start off a layoff. And then Psychedelic Shack, that's my third pick. All those bullet workouts getting ready, it's going to be overbet, not only because it's a my racehorse horse, but because everybody's going to look at 1, 2, 3 bullets in a row and say that horse is sharp and ready to go. They're going to look at Christophe Clement and they're going to say, what a great trainer. So there's a lot of good things going on in terms of that. I think the horse will definitely be a lot lower than 5-2. Paula, we appreciate you coming along here tonight. If folks want to keep up with you online, or a jockey's looking for someone to represent them, how can they reach out to you?
They got to call me, or they can email me, or they can Facebook message me.
And if others want to follow you, what's the best place to do that on social media? Facebook
or Instagram. I'm on both.
And your handle? Well, Sean, you'll get the handles, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, perfect. We'll put all that in the recap on the show at horseracingtoday.net. Paula, once again, we appreciate. We wish you nothing but great success in 2022 and beyond, for sure. Especially when you head up out of Tampa back to Presque Isle Downs. I always have a hard time handicapping that track, so maybe we can reach out to you for some insights when you get there.
I can definitely help you up there.
Perfect. Well, you're going to help us here tonight. I think it was interesting to me to see all the different budgets, how everybody used it. Of course, I knew Terry would have the most. And I thought Sean would be second, but I was wrong. So in any case.
Yeah, Rich was second. Oh.
I was indeed. So tomorrow, Tom and I will be back as discussed to talk a little bit about some Australia racing. Terry and I will be back on Friday to cover some stakes races. Sean and I will be back next week for Horse Center. We should have a good schedule lined up for that. And that wraps up tonight, folks. Thanks for coming. Thanks again, Paula. And we hope that everybody has a fantastic Thursday, Friday, great weekend. All your picks and your days end up in the
winner's circle.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Thanks, Paula.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.